Hello and welcome to this video where I shall be giving you some information on the solar plexus chakra. We're now moving in to access the energy of and embrace this chakra and to really explore any blockages and imbalances that we may hold here that might be holding us back in our life. So the solar plexus chakra houses the belief systems that contribute to our sense of self-worth. And this chakra is the seat of our personal power and will, which gives us the drive and energy to act upon our passions and desires and to turn them into reality. And our goal this week is to let go of the limiting belief systems that we have accumulated throughout this lifetime that hold us back from taking inspired action towards our goals. We will be addressing self-acceptance this week because, this is hugely important. We've been covering self-compassion and really holding ourselves as we've been exploring the emotions and feelings that have been coming up. And here we're going to really focus on accepting ourselves, because once we can accept ourselves for both our lights and our shadows, those shadowy parts of ourselves that we tend to kind of hide away from the rest of the world because we think that they're bad or we've been told that they're not acceptable, we can begin to then feel worthy and to fully embrace our whole selves, to know our worth, to feel deserving of being worthy, and to stand strong in our truth. So the solar plexus chakra is located between your navel and the base of the sternum. So we're moving up from the base of the spine to get to this point. It is associated with your gut knowing, and that's the intuition that comes from your belly, and you'll find that it's rarely wrong. So we all hold the answers within us, and so whilst we're exploring the energy of the solar plexus chakra, we're going to begin to explore focusing on looking inside of ourselves for the answers this week, rather than seeking validation from others, which really is about it's giving our power away. So this chakra is all about, it's our personal power, and part of that personal power is being decisive and knowing what's true for us and following that gut knowing. So if you're finding that you look for validation outside of yourself, that you don't trust that gut knowing, that's a sign that there's an imbalance here. So we're really going to start noticing that with mindful self-compassion, bringing awareness around that, and starting to learn to trust the answers that we hold inside of us. So, and in doing so, we're taking back our power as well, and that's what this is all about. Feeling empowered, making empowered, decisive decisions, taking action. So the Sanskrit name for this chakra is Manipura, and that translates as lustrous gem. And the element associated with the solar plexus chakra is fire, and the color is yellow. So you can really just from those things there, you can get a good idea of the energy of this chakra. When healthy, it is vibrant. So, it's this lovely sparkling yellow. It's vibrant, it's healthy, it's energized, and it's powerful, And fire, the element of fire is transformative. It's all about transformation. So burning off the beliefs and the limiting beliefs and all the things that are holding us back from feeling that sense of self-esteem and that worthiness, just letting it all go, let it burn away in the fire of transformation. And this chakra is also associated with the divine masculine energy within us. So it doesn't matter if we're male or female, we all have both feminine and masculine energy within us, and we want that feminine and masculine energy to be balanced within us, not too much of one and not the other, and vice versa. So the masculine energy within us is fiery, like the element of fire, and generates and distributes energy. So it fires up our will and drive to take inspired action towards our goals. So, you know, we've been through from the sacral chakra, we've been exploring our passions and what lights us up and desire. So we need to have the passion and the desires and the things that light us up. We need to be exploring those to then have that momentum. We've got the flow of the sacral chakra energy, and then the solar plexus, the fiery energy of the solar plexus energy can give that momentum and fire it up and take it off into that motivators with that will and drive to take that inspired action. So it's about first having the passion and the inspiration, and then having the will and the drive to take the action to move forwards towards our goals. So just as the base chakra is associated with our physical identity, the sacral chakra is associated with our emotional identity, which we've already explored. This third chakra, the solar plexus chakra, is about our ego identity. And it's oriented towards our individual identity. So working out what is good for us and learning to set boundaries around our needs. So, you know, and then coming back to when we were children, you know, if we weren't allowed to say no as a child, then we're going to go through our whole life without being able to say no, which leads to not being able to set appropriate boundaries. Or if all we ever received was a no, don't do that, you can't do that as a child, then we won't know how to say yes. So, you know, that shows up in our lives as adults, how that came around in childhood. And our focus in this chakra is taking action, as I've mentioned, and channeling our will, our drive and motivation to do so. So when this chakra is activated, our whole system becomes fully energized, which in turn fires up our power, our drive, and our sense of purpose. We're on fire, literally. The fire has been stoked within, and then we're like literally on fire. So really, you know, I find it helpful to think of the elements that the chakra is associated with, to get an idea of what these chakras are all about. So, you know, with the water and the sacral chakra, you've got that flow and momentum, and here, you know, it's the fire, the burning away the limiting beliefs, and firing, you know, getting us firing off and taking action and being on fire. So okay, so yeah, and then just as, so taking action becomes easy when our energy is already flowing and we are aligned to our passion and purpose as a result of a balanced sacral chakra. So as I was mentioning, we need to be connected to that passion and you know, what lights us up, to be able to then take the action. So physiologically, the solar plexus chakra fuels our metabolism, just as fire burns and generates energy. So on a physical level, the solar plexus chakra fuels the health of our digestive system and muscles, as well as the pancreas, which is responsible for insulin production. So this can give you an idea as well, if you look at your digestive system and how that works. You know, if you are prone to food intolerances or digestive issues, or you've got a sluggish digestion. So, you know, like a sluggish digestion can give you an idea that you've got like an imbalance in the solar plexus chakra, but like more of that deficiency. Whereas if you find that you metabolize food too quickly, and then you're prone to, on the other hand, you might be prone to, think that inflammation, that angry inflammation, so like reflux or indigestion, or where there's too much fire, or you're, food's passing through you too quickly, that can be a sign of an excessive amount of energy in the solar plexus chakra as well. So you can get signs through your physical symptoms. And on an energetic level, too much fire or not enough can damage the healthy flow of energies between body, mind, and spirit. So once the energy has been fueled and generated in this chakra, what we do with that energy is generated by our intention, so our goal setting, which begins at the level of the mind. So that begins, it's up in the upper chakras. We might get an idea, and then it's that meeting of the energy. So that the idea travels down, but we need the energy to be flowing upwards and fuel to be able to channel and that action and that drive and that will and create something from there. So when you successfully accomplish what you intend to do, there is a sense of satisfaction which builds the confidence to do it again. This creates self-esteem and power, all of which are important aspects of the solar plexus chakra. Courage breeds confidence. So when we fulfill our intentions, we get results which increase our sense of personal power. And the larger the intention, the more energy we need to fulfill it. So this is where, encouraging you guys to do your live videos or share your intentions and do those beautiful posts and things like that. It's about encouraging you to take the action to once you step out of that comfort zone and you do it, it builds that courage and the confidence to be able to go back and do it again, and you start building momentum. So sometimes it's about taking those baby steps, but every time we move forward and take action towards our goals or do something to that we've got, whether it's cross something off the to-do list or whatever, we're doing that, we've got that momentum and we're working towards something, we can then acknowledge ourselves and feel proud that we've done it, and build that confidence to go again. And that's so important. So indecisiveness, I'm just going to give you a little personal example here. So this has been, for me, the solar plexus chakra, I've experienced huge blockage and imbalance on a deficiency of energy side of things. So I held myself back and felt incredibly stuck, unable to move towards my passion and purpose due to these limiting self-beliefs I held around not being capable, worthy, fear of looking stupid, all of those sorts of limiting self-beliefs that didn't allow me to move towards what I really wanted. As soon as I found that my desire surpassed the fear of what might go wrong and started taking those steps forward, that's where I started building that momentum. And I think, some of you might be aware, talking to a small group of people would freak me out, and I did absolutely everything to avoid public speaking, as we would call it. A big freeze response would come up, and that fear of forgetting what to say in the moment and looking stupid was a massive blocker for me due to a past childhood experience. And now I found that I love talking to an audience. I actually really enjoy it. I really enjoy teaching. And in holding myself back and not sharing what I know and doing it, I'm actually doing a disservice to others who could be learning from me as well. So there was a whole kind of big learning curve around that. So in case that inspires you in any way, there was no way that I was ever going to be doing anything like this if I'd allowed myself to stay in my comfort zone and hold myself back, which would have also left me feeling very sad and unfulfilled, which was how I was feeling when I wasn't moving towards what I love doing, my passions and my desires. So just wanted to share that with you. So indecisiveness, or an inability to carry out intentions due to things like limiting self-belief or fear of failure, not being good enough, etc., causes the energy to get stuck and blocked in this chakra. So when we talk ourselves out of doing something, it reinforces our belief that we're a failure, not good enough, and so on. And we create a perpetuating pattern or cycle that reinforces this negative belief system that only serves to hold us back and lower our sense of our self-esteem and sense of self-worth even further. And so that was kind of the pattern that I was in as well. And also digestion, interestingly, my digestion was sluggish. It's definitely improved. I had a lot of intolerances that I don't have experience now. And there's that real thing of how we digest our food is comparable to how we digest life. And so we need the energy to metabolize our food. We need that energy to be moving forward in our life. And when we're stuck in our life, there can be that corresponding correlation to stagnancy in our digestive system. So when we're unsure of ourselves, holding back, afraid of making a mistake, or even sabotaging our success out of fear, we can get stuck in our energy here, which diminishes our fire energy literally, and also our sense of power and esteem. And this uncertainty may also show up as being indecisive in our thoughts and actions. So just take a moment to think about, how decisive you are about what you want in your life and what holds you back from taking action as well. So how does indecisiveness play out in your life? And what holds you back from taking action towards what you want? Okay. So I'm just going to take a sip of water. So when desire, which is created in the sacral chakra, and will, created in the solar plexus chakra, when they are aligned, our energy moves more freely. When we want to do something, as opposed to having to do it, then we have more energy readily available to it. So, for example, we're going on holiday. Well, the desire to go on holiday is going to be pretty great, and we're going to have more energy, spring into action more easily to get ready to go away because we really want to go and it's enjoyable and we're looking forward to it. Whereas, if you think about, going to work, well, we might drag our feet and just go into that lethargy and I'm tired and I don't want to do it. But switching from that, as soon as you think about going on holiday, it's going to be like a total woohoo, and and you can, and just your energy can shift just like that, from going from something that's dull and monotonous that you don't want to do to having that desire and passion and something that's inspiring and lights you up. That your energy can just shift instantly like that. So we can consciously choose to reframe how we see things in life. And to choose to do things with a positive perspective rather than complaining about it. And when we choose to do something rather than having to do it, like I've just explained, our energy can shift immediately. So, things like paying the bills, we might drag our feet and kind of leave them to the side and stuff. But, if we kind of look at it in terms of, well, I'm paying my electricity bill because it lights up my house, and it might be that I get in winter, I can get some warmth. I'm trying to think of the word, get some fire going. But it's like, think of something positive around that. Like, if I pay my bill, what's the incentive to pay my bill? Oh, well, this is what I get from it, and that's really awesome. So it's just about having that perspective shift that can totally change the energy around how we do something. So a self-reflection and tapping practice you can do this week is to make a list of the things that you don't want to do, yet tell yourself that you have to do them. and list the reasons why you're choosing to do them. And if the reasons are important to you, then make a conscious choice to do those things. And if not, then consciously choose to say no. And practice your power in doing that as well. Now, if you find that you often do things to please others to the detriment of yourself, then begin to practice putting those boundaries in place. And that's going to give you a sense of empowerment, rather than that kind of, like that martyred, resentment that you feel for oh, go on then, but you feel crappy about it, or I should have said no, or and that's really working on your sense of empowerment and just being mindfully aware of how it is you go about doing things in your life. And if you're finding that you're saying yes to things you don't want to do, and you could actually put in some boundaries and say no, and start practicing with doing that, and journal on it and reflect, and that's going to really strengthen this energy center as well. So developmentally, this chakra starts developing around the age of 18 months up to around 4 years, and it's all about the development of self, the ego identity, and also about learning impulse control. So when we begin to learn impulse control and get recognition for it, then we build self-esteem. So this includes mastery, mastering a task such as getting dressed, which develops self-confidence. So we've got, there's two things with, that in childhood, responses from parents. There's two different kind of responses that can happen. And, one of them, so parents can expect too much too soon. And if this happens, then we're going to have, as children, a hard time experiencing any mastery at all. And the solar plexus chakra becomes deficient. And if we were overly controlled by authoritarian parents, we learn to deeply deny our own impulses, and spontaneity and playfulness disappears. But then on the other hand, if we were overindulged, we can get a false sense of our own power. And later then we have a hard time getting on with others. So talking about, obviously we covered a lot about emotions and feelings in the sacral chakra, but here shame is an emotion that we often hold at the level of the solar plexus chakra, and this shame can cause blockage and disconnection, and shaming often occurs in childhood and can cause lifelong trauma in the form of stories we associate with this and the limiting beliefs we adopt and self-sabotage patterns. So the ultimate goal of this chakra is self-mastery. When we successfully combine our energy and our intention to create a desired outcome, we feel powerful. Shame is the opposite of power. It makes us want to withdraw and can paralyze us with the fear of doing something wrong, or it can make us overwork in order to prove ourselves worthy. So there's, two extremes there. And often as children, we are shamed for our naturally immature actions. Parents expect too much of kids. And then, there's this sense of, the shame can come out as, what's the matter with you? Why would you do that? You should be ashamed of yourself. And those kind of words that parents use towards their children can be very damaging and give that sense of what's the matter with you, can be really damaging for a child. It's like, oh God, there's something wrong with me at an intrinsic level, really impacting sense of self-worth. So, when it happens, we can begin to feel criticized, judged, and shamed, leading to not feeling good enough, to feel that we're always messing things up or can't do anything right. And the risk of doing something wrong makes our natural desire to take action feel dangerous. And so we learn to contain that energy instead and like hold on, which makes it hard to access later on in life. It's that kind of contraction rather than expansion, you know, like we're kind of retracting rather than kind of coming out, repressing instead of expanding and moving forward. So you get that real sense of that. And another reaction to shaming might be to go to the other extreme, which is overdoing and having a tendency towards burnout and exhaustion in order to prove one's worth and gain approval. So whether, you know, like there's two extremes. There's like fear of doing anything, for doing it wrong and feeling, you know, like a failure or not good enough. And then there's like the, hang on a minute, I'm going to show you that I'm good enough, and overdo it and overachieving and constantly trying to seek that approval. So the theme on both extremes is really around self-worth, you know, and how shaming in childhood can either create limiting self-beliefs around not being good enough, not being capable, and a whole lot of fear around failure, rejection, humiliation, looking stupid, all can result in overextending ourselves to prove that we are worthy, always doing, and not being able to just sit and be and relax. So all of the fears hold us back from taking action towards our desires and keep us stuck, trapped, and unfulfilled. They may keep us safe in our comfort zone, but the lack of action perpetuates a vicious cycle where our upper limit keeps feeding that sense of a lack of worthiness and dampening further our sense of self-esteem. And then we've got perfectionistic tendencies. So perfectionism and procrastination are prime examples of this lack of action. If we place really high expectations on ourselves, we are likely never going to meet them. So we end up not taking action at all to stop ourselves from failing to meet our own expectations. Or when we're doing something, we don't meet the perfectionism and the high expectations we've placed on ourselves. So we just end up criticizing ourselves and judging ourselves and feeling bad. You know, never kind of acknowledging the achievements that we do have. So, you know, not doesn't make for a happy fulfilled life, that. And you know, and I know this cycle well as well. You know, I used to be probably the queen of procrastination in the past, and I used to have extremely high expectations on myself and what I needed to do, and so I would hold myself back, you know, and that was feeding my belief that I was neither capable or good enough. However, you know, my passion and desire were always burning strong, and my discovery of my purpose in this life kept me pushing forward bit by bit. And I'm also very, I'm lucky in that, because we all have, you know, all the virtues within us, and some are stronger than others, and determination, shall we say, is one of my stronger ones. So, which served me well because I had the determination not to let my limiting belief patterns and self-sabotage defeat me. So even though the patterns were strong and they stuck for a very, very long time, you know, bit by bit I managed to overcome them. So my desire to overcome my fears was so strong that I tried it all, you name it. The quick fixes, or I call them the quick fixes, such as, you know, NLP, that's neuro-linguistic programming, RTT, which is rapid transformation therapy, hypnosis, you know, all in the name of getting to where I knew I needed to be, which is a place of service for others. But none of them really did what they promised. And I think that's because my limiting beliefs were so deeply ingrained. And, you know, these promises of therapies that, you know, are going to just clean the slate or whatever, wipe the slate clean. For me, they didn't really work. And I realized through that process as well that I was giving my power away by going to people to fix me, and at that stage I think I did see it in terms of needing to be fixed, which I eventually learned, you know, I am whole and complete, and it's about peeling back the layers of conditioning that have programmed me to believe that I'm not capable and worthy of being successful and doing what I'm here to do, and all of those things. So I think as soon as I realized that I am whole, I am worthy, and it's just about coming back to that wholeness, remembering who I am, peeling back those layers, those limiting beliefs, freeing myself bit by bit, and doing that myself, because I hold all of the answers within, and I do not need to ask anybody's advice or opinion or get them to fix me in any way. I think that was the defining point of learning those tools to be able to manage everything myself. And you know, I have a mentor and a teacher, because I believe as well that is important, to find somebody in your life that can support and guide you to where you're going. And you know, I have that person in my life. It took a long time to find her and a lot of money, shall we say, but you know, once you find that person that resonates, that can help you get to where you want to be, you know, I believe that's important as well, to have that support and guidance as we're coming back to ourselves and finding ourselves, and yeah, coming back to our wholeness. It helps to have someone there holding your hand until you find it yourself, for sure. So, gosh, I've got off track with that. So, something I'm passionate about, obviously. So I learned the long and hard way that we really do not need to conquer our fears and limiting beliefs ourselves. That the answers are inside each and every one of us. We just need to be committed to finding them and acting upon them. So the best way I found to work through my limiting beliefs are through a powerful combination of mindfulness, chakra work, and tapping, which is what I now teach and what I'm incredibly passionate about teaching. And you know, we're doing the work energetically, starting at the base. You know, our foundations, to build a strong, healthy foundation from which to spring forth. And we're using mindfulness to make that unconscious conscious, because knowledge is power. With awareness, we have the power as to whether we want to choose to take action and make change or not. And it all starts with the awareness to make a choice. And the mindfulness technique is also helping us to release our judgment of self and others, cultivating a sense of compassion and forgiveness, which ultimately brings us greater connection to ourselves and to others. We're healing our relationship to ourselves, and that in turn enables us to be compassionate towards others as well. And tapping, you know, is a powerful fear transformation tool that we can use to transmute the negative energy that we have become conscious of through our mindfulness practice. And we can do this ourselves, you know, not relying on someone else to fix us and take the fear and pain away. We can transform ourselves. We just need the desire and the will to be strong enough to do it. And then, you know, with that guidance of a good mentor to keep us on track. So I'm just going to mention a little about encoding now. So every time that we experience or relive a traumatic experience that stimulates our stress response, it encodes and increases our physiological response to that trauma, unless we can do something to counteract it. So delving into our traumas can be helpful to understand them, but they can also result in ingraining and encoding the experiences further. So that's where, you know, cognitive therapy can almost be a little bit like talk therapy is like, it's like reliving the experience over and over again. But, you know, when you use a powerful fear transformation tool like tapping, it's like you're bringing the, you know, the uncomfortable experience up, but then you're removing it And so tapping on our fearful emotions and negative experiences as they come up and we're talking about them desensitizes them, and then they begin to lose their potency. And when we tap immediately after a traumatic event or within 24 hours of it, it's going to be less likely to encode. So, not only are we using tapping as a powerful self-regulation tool to regulate our emotions and feelings, but we can also stop the encoding of, negative experiences and start to desensitize and change our neural pathways, so we can get rid of the limiting beliefs and the negative patterns of behaviors, which is really exciting. So we're going to look at using tapping this week as a way of releasing our limiting beliefs around our self-esteem and worthiness that will empower us to change our stories and effectively empower us to create positive change in our lives, bringing us closer to inner peace and freedom. Okay, so now we're going to look at how a balanced solar plexus chakra looks, and also how an imbalanced or blocked solar plexus chakra might show up. So a balanced solar plexus chakra enables us to move through life with genuine confidence and self-esteem. And with this inner strength, we're more likely to find our true purpose and direction in life and have the courage to pursue this journey. A deficiency in this chakra can show up as a fear of stepping into your power, a trouble setting boundaries, being assertive, initiating or following through with one's will. So there's a tendency to give away power and control, becoming submissive to others. And this leads to low self-esteem as well as a loss of drive, will and spontaneity. And when we lose power, we also lose touch with our unique individuality and instead find it easier to simply follow the crowd. And when our metaphorical fire has gone out, tiredness and lethargy are common, feeling empty and aimless and easily falling into depression. And on the other hand, excessive energy in the solar plexus chakra might show up as being someone who gravitates towards power and control, often becoming controlling of others as a strategy for gaining power. It can also manifest as extreme competitiveness, aggressive outbursts, and judgmental attitudes. In its extreme form, it can be used to bully or dominate others. And more commonly, it's simply the need for control. So people who feel that they haven't got a control in their life can assert that need for control in this way, grasping for control. And it can also appear as the constant need to be doing something and the inability to just relax, be, and sit still. And this can result in extreme workaholism, obsessive fitness regimes where you're not doing, not getting physically fit for good reasons. It's like punishing your body in a way, or the driving pursuit of impossible goals. And the natural need for rest and relaxation is dominated by the excessive power of this chakra, which can run somebody's life, or often, like the life of others as well. So I just invite you to reflect on these things and feel into where you may sit on the scale of solar plexus chakra energy. Do you feel balanced in this chakra, or do you tend more towards excessive or deficiency in this chakra? And just knowing that you can experience some of both as well. So just having a little feel into that. So to begin with, we're wanting to release the stuck, stagnant energy, opening, cleansing, and literally shaking up this chakra. So, invite you to kind of carry out the self-reflective journaling activities, which are going to allow you to become more conscious of how things are sitting in this chakra. You know, if you tend towards deficiency in this chakra, then you know you're lacking enough energy here, and your focus needs to be on generating it. And you can do that through, you know, good diet, breath, movement, and rest when necessary. You know, moving the body as well here can mobilize trapped energy and stimulate the metabolism. So, you know, like that kind of short bursts of high intense exercise is really good for stimulating the solar plexus chakra. You know, something like jumping on a rebounder or something like that, or going for a run. And you know, that's going to help to stimulate the metabolism and sluggish digestion, and also to help with gaining a fit, healthy body, which helps you to feel more powerful as well and stronger, and be able to manage your energy more effectively. So, you know, and if you've got a tendency towards inertia as well, like a good way to get the fire burning is by doing a high energy exercise to get your heart rate up. You know, clear the liver and tone your muscles. And your ego is going to jump in and resist this. This is all about ego identity as well. So we're likely to experience resistance from the ego, especially when we're making positive change in our lives and moving forward. The ego is going to try to hold us back and keep us stuck. So be aware of the ego. Your ego is going to resist doing anything that's going to help to stimulate your solar plexus chakra. So, you know, if you're wanting to do exercise and you're noticing ego resistance when you're low in energy, totally normal. Have some compassion and just be aware of it. But once you know, it's always that thing, isn't it? You've got that resistance to doing it, but once you actually go and do it, you feel so much better. Yeah, and so even though it takes energy to get moving initially, it really will give your energy levels a good boost and increase your motivation, resulting in more energy, not less. So it's like that starting off thing again. It's like with the, you know, the courage breeds confidence thing. You know, like when you start to move your body, you start to feel like you want to move it more, and you get more motivation. So, you know, choose an aerobic exercise that you enjoy, such as jogging. You know, or I don't enjoy jogging. I'd rather bounce on a rebounder or something like that, or skipping as well. You know, that's really good. So, and tune into your digestion as well, so you can kind of connect into how your energy's sitting through that, and just start to notice how you digest your food, what foods irritate or feel good to eat. You know, adding a little bit of freshly grated ginger and black pepper to your food can help to aid and stimulate the digestive process as well. And you can go out into the solar energy. You know, like we're talking fire and yellow, and so, you know, the sun is what this chakra is all about, the warmth and the heat. So, you know, just go out into the sunlight and spend a few minutes connecting to the sun and feeling its rays pouring into your own solar plexus and charging up your energy levels is a great energy practice that can just help to stimulate your power and your drive as well. And just go and live your life through the lens of the solar plexus chakra as you explore all of these things, and notice what is activated within you. Become conscious of your energy levels. Notice where your energy goes. You know, I recommend using your journal to record your experiences and practice, you know, what you can to help open and balance this. So we'll talk about the judgment as well. So with your mindfulness practice, start to really notice where the judgmental thoughts as well, those self-critical thoughts and the judgment of others, because once we start to notice the judgment and give it some compassion as well, we can start to focus on bringing in self-acceptance. So really paying attention to your inner critic, noticing any harmful words, negative self-talk, childhood put-downs that continue to play over in your mind. And once we can begin to accept ourselves for both our light and our shadows, we can begin to feel worthy. So just really noticing that and paying attention to that. So that's it for now. You've got things like, you can work with your crystals and your essential oils and the colour yellow, wearing and accessorising with that, all of that. So just, that these are the things to bear in mind with the solar plexus chakra, and go forth and connect to your power centre, your worth and your self-esteem. You are deserving, you're worthy, and you're amazing. Much love.